who dwell in your house. They are ever praising you. Bless all those who strengthen you. Whose hearts are set on our God. Bless all those who dwell in your house. They are ever praising you. Bless all those who strengthen you. Whose hearts are set on our God. We will go from faith to faith till we see your face. Bless all those who dwell in your house. They are ever praising you. Bless all those who strengthen you. Whose hearts are set on our God. We will go from faith to faith till we see you face. For you are holy, for you are holy, for you are holy, Lord. For you are holy, for you are holy, for you are holy, Lord. You are holy, you are holy, Lord. You are holy, you are holy, WBISLP 1069,
Winterville, Ayden, Grifton, Southside, Greenville, North Carolina.
Good day, everyone. Welcome to the Police Report Show. The Police Report Show was created to keep the public informed and to build and maintain a positive relationship with the community. WBIS LP 106.9 FM, Winterville, Ayden, Grifton, Southside, Greenville, North Carolina. Outside the listening area, tune in on WBISAwesomeRadio.org.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, social media outlets, GPAC 23, WBIS LP 106.9 Facebook and YouTube channel. We're covering them all, Roku as well. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching the rebroadcast. If you're watching the rebroadcast, you can definitely enjoy the show. You can still like and share. Also, we represent 100.3 Rocky Mount, North Carolina. So today's show on the Police Report First Responders is once again staffed and paneled with some of the most intelligent men in Eastern North Carolina.
I agree.
Some of us less intelligent than others, but we want to be fair. But probably the most intelligent person in the group when it comes to being a correspondent and contributor of this show, going on 2 years now. I'm going to say thank you to myself. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, Coach, you do realize I have more degrees than a thermometer.
Oh, you do? I hear you. Well, below zero don't count.
I just said that so Darnell Sergeant Darnell could laugh. I see you laughing, Sarge.
Well, he is probably, I'm not saying this guy is underrated. He probably overrated. He just got an extreme amount of humility.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Sergeant Lee Darnell of the Pitt County Sheriff's Office has joined us today. Also, we may look forward to hearing from Mr. Thomas McKinney, who is a long-serving host here at WBIS LP 106.9. And he perhaps will be coming in at the bottom of the hour. And we have Mr. Muhammad, who is working on months now, serving as our cybersecurity contributor. And, Sergeant Darnell, I thank you for your patience. We had a great show last time. I'm not going to talk this one away. But you mentioned that we needed to go to Muhammad to get to his section on cybersecurity. So if you don't mind, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to start with cybersecurity today with Mr. Muhammad Inab. And, we'll skip saying hello to everybody. Glenn knows himself. We don't need him to tell himself hello. Sergeant Darnell, you're just the leader of the pack. And I'm your co-host, Vernon Garrison. And we're going to introduce Mr. Muhammad, ladies and gentlemen. We got a great show planned for you. Stick with us because we got some really good issues in law enforcement we want to talk about and consult with the Pitt County Sheriff's Office representative. Right now, we're going to turn it over to Mr. Muhammad. He's going to share with us more information about how to protect ourselves while we're online.
Be advised of voice cloning. And social media, I've seen people make voice cloning of Star Wars characters such as Anakin Skywalker, Obi-Wan Kenobi. And the way they did it is they were collecting clones. They were collecting audio data from the person who you want to clone, feeding it into a neural network, and then analyzing the audio to recreate a person's voice. Once the machine has been trained, it will generate a new audio that should sound identical as that person. However, if it doesn't been trained, it may sound like it was taken out of context.
Mr. Muhammad, what in the world? Voice cloning?
Yes.
So there are devices that we use there are rites of passage that we use our voice to unlock, and people will clone our voice and go in them. Is that where we're going at with this?
That's another way of making some hackers trying to manipulate you to impersonate them as that person to make them gain information instead of proving that they are who they say they are.
Okay, so now that the scam, everybody's familiar with the scam. The person calls a grandmother and say, "This is your grandson. I'm locked up. I need bail money." So you're saying that it will impersonate his voice?
Exactly. What I'm saying is, besides, scammers are like kind of like loan sharks because it's who they target specifically. They target the small fish, not the big fish.
I have a question for you too, Mr. Muhammad.
Ask away.
In regards to hacking and scamming and all that stuff. For over the past couple of months, I've been getting a friend request on Facebook, and as soon as I accept a friend request, and they're for a friend, next thing you know, I get a message talking about, "Yeah, man, I'm just curious how you been lately." I'll respond, "I've been all right." "Well, have you heard about this kind of package, that kind of package, this kind of government package?" I'm like, "No, and I'm not interested. Have a nice day," and I delete them from my friend.
You did the right thing because that's another way it could lead to Trojan attack. They might gain access from your information if you try clicking the link or so.
Yeah, I figured that, so that's why I deleted the entire message and the friend request.
You did the right thing.
Thank you.
Well, Muhammad, you anything else from the cybersecurity corner, or you want to wait until we give you another shot later in the show?
I do have another question, but I'll wait for Mr. Muhammad to go ahead.
Well, this more of a question. True or false? The attachments should always be treated as caution, even if you know the sender. True or false?
True.
That is correct. Because attachments from an unknown source should never be opened. But attachments that has appeared to be from a known source can also be dangerous. If you receive an attachment that you weren't expecting, or if it is not in keeping with how it is contact normally communicates, it's best practice, even when you know the supposed sender, it is to verify to legitimacy first.
Yeah, and my question to you is along the lines of that. In addition to sending an attachment through an email as like a document, I would trust the document over an image because I know a lot of things could be embedded in an image. And speaking of image, this wasn't an attachment, but I'm in photography, and back in 2000, I had a photo that I had to add something to the photo, like say I was doing some sports stuff, so I added like a ball to one of the images that I had, and when I sent it over to one of the guys I was working with in the studio in Philly, I didn't send it as an email. I put it on the flash drive, gave him the flash drive for him to take it off the flash drive. But as soon as he went to take it off the flash drive and copy to his computer started going crazy, bells and whistles, warning, virus has been detected. And he chewed me up for that till this day. I'm like, "Josh, I would never give you anything with a virus to harm your computer." And I explained that I attached something to the photo that he was trying to copy, and maybe that's what triggered the
virus.
The virus, saying that it was a virus when in fact it wasn't a virus. It's just that attachment that I attached to the photo.
All right. Well, let's go to Sergeant Lee Darnell, and these guys probably got a massive computer monitoring drone technology. We're going to talk about technology today in law enforcement. We also will talk about a couple other things, but since we're on the subject, what is your outreach for cybersecurity? Do you guys, you got a big IT program because y'all dealing confidential information like crazy. The store, the devices that you use, that's got to be off the chain. Can you share a little bit about, where you keep your passwords so you can let us know? We're close to you. Give us top secret information. I'm sure Glenn will keep it to the grave.
Hey, Coach. It's good to see everybody. And yeah, we do deal with a lot of computer systems, and connected to the SBI, the FBI, and all kinds of networks out there, and a lot of redundant systems and security systems. And we have to be careful, just like everyone else. Governments are popular targets for nefarious organizations as well. People love to break into our systems and lock us down, and charge us millions of dollars to get back into our systems.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yeah. I believe the city of Greenville got hit a few years ago. Um, it's very popular for governments to be targets. So it's pretty scary.
And that right there is a definition of ransomware attacks.
Bingo. Yeah. There you go. Thank you. So
Yeah, ransomware.
Mm-hmm.
Could you explain ransomware a little bit?
Sure. Ransomware attack is what hackers use to encrypt the database of the company or pretty much the government to prevent you from gaining access from your own device or any database unless you pay them. But there is no guarantee, even if you did pay them, what guarantee do you have that you actually believe they keep their word? Besides, for all we know, they probably already made a copy of the data that you have in the places, keep it for themselves without you fully aware of it if they were able to gain access from it.
Wow. All right, ladies and gentlemen, there you go. We definitely got your attention. I did not expect to hear that our own sheriff's office has been a victim, or our own city has been a victim of hackers. Those of you remember the pipeline that went down a year or so ago, and gas went up. I don't know if that was staged or not, just to create a gas hype. But no, I actually believe it happened. So usually those hackers take claim to what they've done. And sometimes they pretty much switch over and start working for the government after they've figured out had great success. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to start off today's show with current issues in law enforcement. And it is not a very casual subject, because we're going to talk about something that's very dear to us. These people protect and serve us. And I'd like to ask the panel, what do they think? And this is a trivial question, and Sergeant Darnell is the only one that's allowed to not answer, because he might fear that he could get it wrong and be slighted in front of his colleagues that watch the show late at night after they get off. But what is the number one, particular survey, not every survey, what is the number one issue in police departments, in law enforcement, that was reported in just last year, 2022? What do you think the number one issue is in law enforcement? Including the department, including the scope is very, very wide for this question, but what would be the number one issue to you, Sergeant Lee Darnell? Let's change it into more of a direct question.
the number one issue to me, current issue?
Yes, the number one current issue.
Well, one of the biggest things that's impacting us right now is recruitment and retention.
Okay. Let's ask Muhammad. We haven't prepped him for any issues, but as a citizen, Muhammad, to you and from your purview, what is the number one issue in law enforcement to you, just from where you're at? You can't even be wrong. Just tell us what you think the number one issue is to yourself.
Well, sometimes I could say false accusation, I guess. You see, there are a lot of people who drove. They think that while their phones was stuck to it was supposed to be attached to the map, right? Well, their phone was stuck to it, but one time the police actually pulled over a girl, but she wasn't on her phone. Her phone just fell off of the case, and she had to pick it up so she can follow the directions to the map. But the police didn't believe her.
Okay, so you're saying a law enforcement officer stopped someone and their phone was not in a carriage, was not in they were following GPS, and their phone was not on the mounted on the dash.
Yes.
And she picked the phone up. Did she get stopped for like reckless driving, or was he saying she was distracted or something?
No, he assumed she was distracted. He assumed she was on her phone while driving.
Okay. So that led you to say that false accusation is the number one issue to you.
Yeah, because she was charged for it, even though she was telling the truth.
Gotcha. I understand.
Yeah, so false accusations, right? Yeah.
I'll follow you. Well, that wasn't, I don't know, do you call that a false accusation, or you call that just a wrong call, wrong charge.
Yeah, misinterpretation of actual facts. Yeah,
and she got charged.
I think Sergeant Darnell would agree with that misinterpretation of the facts. When in fact she was just dropped the phone, was picking it up to continue to follow the GPS. She wasn't actually talking on the phone like having a conversation. She was just trying to follow the route to get to where she had to go.
Everybody talks on the phone nowadays. Everybody, there's two stoplights now. Okay, there's a stoplight that turns red when you sit there, and then you decide to check your text message, and then there's a delay in the stoplight so everybody can stop texting and say it's time to go. That's the other green light.
And there's another light that makes you stop too. It's not red, but it's blue.
Okay. Well, Sergeant Darnell, just respond, if you will. False accusation, is there some type of systemic or when the officers get it wrong type thing going on?
Well, I mean, things like that have existed since the beginning of time. Officers are human, and they certainly make mistakes. I'm sure I have, and I'm sure I will again. I hate to admit that, but as humans, it happens. We try to limit that. In a case like that, that's where the ability to explain yourself at the moment, and hopefully human nature kicks in and common sense kicks in to know when to charge somebody and when not to charge somebody, and just good judgment, and then the court system to handle it appropriately at the time.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, in law enforcement, the number one issue is recruitment and retention. Some of the elements are, we're going to be grown folks here about the subject. Some of the elements of retention and recruitment, officers seeking other jobs outside of law enforcement, negative surrounding law enforcement in general, negativity, pandemic fatigue, pressure from family to change careers. Sergeant Darnell, you've probably been into some exit interviews. What's going on with the city and the county of Pitt and Greenville, and which one of those top areas are you guys facing? Officers getting out of the business, negativity, what's happening? The pressure from the family. What do you see?
I think it's pretty much like anywhere else you go. One thing that we've been impacted with a lot here is a sudden timing for retirements. Like at the detention center, just over the last 6 months or so, we have had so many retirements just based on when people came into the business and they've hit their 30 years. And it seems like every few weeks we're going to another retirement celebration. And I'm so happy for these people. I have another one this week, someone who's near and dear to me, lieutenant who just finished her 30 years.
I know I'm going to be there.
Right?
Yeah.
And I can't believe it. She's so young, much like myself. But she gets to go off and have begin her next chapter of life. And then we'll promote a lieutenant and promote a sergeant, and we just start that process again. And we've had so many retirements, and we're losing so much experience. That is a huge blow to us right now. And I've talked to a lot of agencies who have had that same experience, and that's pretty harsh.
Come on, man. The class of 93, if I could pick 92, 93, starting at the detention center. I remember when Sheriff Billy Vanderford offered me that job after a radio show we did. He said, I'm about to open a new detention center. We're going to get into that right when we come back. I'm going to be at that meeting, that retirement party. That is very, very important influence in my life. The young lady that's retiring, and that's a shot that's going to be heard around the world.
Right.
So
there'll be a lot of tears lost that day.
Yeah, I believe it, man. She's just dynamite. So we're gonna lament a little bit more, but I'm gonna tell you just how good, and maybe you can tell me even more how that class was. And I stepped away early after about 5 years, and but I had a good run while I was there, and so we're going to call it a moment, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us. This is a police first responders report, and we're having a good time. We're talking about a very serious issue about the people that protect and serve. WBISLP 106.9. We'll be right back after these messages.
Many people with brain injury have their lives defined for them. This March, join the Brain Injury Association in celebrating the More Than My Brain Injury campaign and give individuals a chance to overcome those definitions by telling their own stories. For information about brain injury and how you can help raise awareness all month, visit www.biausa.org. That's biausa.org.
Do your children
Family life.
This is Ruth W. Council, and I listen religiously to WBIS Awesome Radio, 106.9 FM.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, the Police First Responders Report. Here I am, Vernon Garrison, here with Dr. Glenn Johnson and Mr. Muhammad Inab, and none other than the most important correspondent in the world, Sergeant Lee Darnell. Today, we got a diversified show talking about issues in law enforcement, those guys and gals that protect us. So now we got to try to keep a pretty good tradition going on here in Pitt County for people that protect and serve. And we're talking now about retention and recruitment. And we were just talking about how Pitt County is losing a lot of officers to retirement. And I know I've been invited to a retirement party. My history, I spent 5 years with the Pitt County Detention Center. After doing a radio show with Sheriff Vanderford, a noted social worker, we did a show on interventions in the community, law enforcement, and how the DSS plays a role. And Sheriff Vanderford pulled me aside. He says, I like your style, son. I'm opening a new jail in about a year or so, and I'd like to invite you to apply for an opportunity. Yeah, come on over. And said so I went and applied, and I got a job with Pitt County Sheriff's Office for a new facility. And guess where they put me? In an old facility. I worked in the old jail, as they call it, in the dungeon. I don't know, 8 months to a little less than a year. Oh, Sergeant Darnell, now I should have a little bit different level of respect from you, right? Or different perspective.
Man, I already had respect and love for you. So it's all good.
Right? Now, I've been through a couple of changes. I was down there with Dink Walston, Lieutenant Cape Hart, Captain Whaley.
The good old days.
Yeah, man. The food was good in there. Them ladies was cooking real food back in them days. But I spent some time in there. we were so afraid of this inmate that had killed them girls out and threw them out of the Pitt Community College. We were so afraid of this guy. We gave him his own handcuffs through the and shackles through the door to tell him to put them on by himself.
Put 'em on himself.
And he wasn't going to court unless he put them on. We gave the inmate the handcuffs and shackles to put on. I think there was Roger Stevenson there, that joker. He later escaped after that. Not long and stayed in the woods over there across the Tar River. All right, but Dink Walston was about 99 years old then. There were several older officers. I enjoyed working with the older officers, and I didn't feel like there was an imbalance on the force. But you think we should keep people longer from their prime so they can train the younger officers? Because you say we're losing, Sergeant Darnell, we're losing a lot of good officers and that are young people. Do you want to just have them stay there until they Captain Kangaroo age or what? I mean, what you trying to do?
Well, no. It would be nice with some of them, like the one that we're both going to go see off. I hate to see her leave because it just won't be the same. But after 30 years in this business, it takes a toll. After 35 years, I've got some battle scars. My wife could tell you about some changes. She's ready for me to come home. She's ready for me to no longer have a badge and gun. She doesn't want this side of me anymore, to be honest. She wants me back. And it takes a toll, it really does. And it's nice at the end of the day when we can take our staff members and celebrate them and see them off to that next chapter. At the same time, 30 years, you developed a lot of instinct. You developed a lot of reasoning skills, a lot of things that your 20-year-old hasn't put together yet, and won't for several years. That you hate to see leave. But the good thing is, I may give our 20-year-olds a little grief coming in, but I'll speak highly of them too. I'm seeing heart out of these young guys and ladies coming in. And I'll be the first to say they don't make people like they used to. We've lost it. But I'll see them come in fresh out of rookie school, and we'll sit down and start a class talking about elder abuse or talking about domestic violence. We'll start talking about a new initiative going in a new direction, and they will be pinpoint focused and excited and going, hey, can we start that study? Can we get involved in this new program? And they've got heart. So it's going to be all right. Our generation, we can go home and watch Netflix and enjoy it. They got our back. It's going to be all right. They can take it to that next level.
On the list of issues in law enforcement is police accountability. Before people think that we getting too warm and fuzzy with issues, there's police accountability. Is the hierarchy? Is this, are you saying it's effective because the new recruits are bright-eyed and bushy-tailed? Are they getting it? Is it effective? Are you able to translate your authority? When I call Greenville PD now in another situation I'm affiliated with, they show up, and not long, 5 minutes after or less, I got authority on site, especially if it's a larger incident. So they're traveling in packs. It looked like the captain to show up. Before long, I'm looking through the crowd to see if the police chief is there. There's a huge thing that Greenville PD has going on. How is the accountability with the seasoned officers because Dr. Johnson just told me before we got on air, it is mandatory to retire at 55 in New Jersey now. So
Wow.
what is going on here, and is the wisdom able to, keep the younger officers accountable, and in what way?
Well, I don't think you can say age equates to wisdom. I've seen people older make terrible mistakes too. I've seen the younger generation step up in big ways. So, I mean, it takes everybody all the way around being 100% accountable, period. I don't care. It may be that 21-year-old at the end of the day who sees me slipping and steps up and goes, Sarge, I'm sorry, you're wrong. Back it up. And that's cool. It takes that. And today, that accountability has to be in place. And we have things like these body cameras. And we have things like people being on their cell phones recording things. And, these things truly are blessings in that this accountability has to be in place. And we're making steps ahead. And with these new generations, they don't know any different. When I went into it, we didn't have GPS, we didn't have cell phones, and it was a different day. This generation, they don't know anything other than being preached accountability, and we're moving in a good direction.
We have 39 seconds before the break. When we come back, Dr. Johnson has some questions for you or thoughts. And we'll also want to get over to on the police technology and data-driven side of things, where they're saying some departments are reporting a 7.4% or greater decrease in crime because they're monitoring gang activity. So I guess the traditional gangs start to cutting up before every week at the same time, and they go out there and offer them ice cream. Okay, we'll be right back. Police Report Show. Dr. Johnson and Coach Garrison, WBIS LP 106.9.
I wasn't prepared to be a caregiver to Mom. I had no idea how hard it would be and what I would need to know. Things I never thought of, like how to improve her mood and ways for me to stay positive. Luckily, I found the Caregiving Resource Center from AARP. It had articles about the basics, but also information about the hurdles I was facing. Caregiving Resource Center at aarp.org/caregiving. Articles, tips, and tools to help you both care for your loved one and care for yourself. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
A brain injury can change the way you think, act, move, and feel. More than 2.8 million children and adults sustain traumatic brain injuries in the United States each year, with many more going undiagnosed. If you or someone close to you has experienced a brain injury, call the Brain Injury Association at 1-800-444-6443 or visit their website at www.biausa.org. Get the help you need today.
Hi, this is LaManda. I listen to Awesome Radio 106.9 FM.
All right, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. WBISLP 106.9. This is the Police Report. First responders, also 100.3 Rocky Mount. And we're in the middle of a classic discussion on issues in law enforcement. If you have an issue, you can pick up the phone and call 252-756-2008 and voice your opinion right now.
Right now. Not now, right now.
Right now. Say that with a southern twang.
Yeah. Sarge, I just want to mention something along the lines of what you just spoke about concerning your wife, your lovely wife. When you said that she's not fed up, I don't think, but she wants to see you without the badge and gun. She wants you to be her husband and return or not return to a normal life because you're still living a normal life, but be more active in her life and in family life. And I kind of I have a feel of what she's saying, and I basically agree with her because I know you have done a lot in law enforcement and firefighting, and I think you should consider enjoying more time with your family and your wife. So not exploring what else life has to offer, but exploring what more life has to offer. So I agree with your wife. Also, I want to point out to you that based upon what you said on the last show about the detention center officer that lost his life after working a long shift and his truck rolled over. So I made a part of my presentation with the CIT officers as training when I give my speech is I make a part of that on perception. What do you perceive things to be? How do you perceive an inmate if you work in the detention center? Is that inmate what you actually perceive to be a bad person? You know, because just because he's confined or detained doesn't mean that he's a horrible individual. That person is still human. So I told the officers, think about perception. And I gave them a little sample of in New Jersey. I think it was 1971 or 2. Reuben Hurricane Carter and John Artis. Reuben Hurricane Carter was a professional fighter, and him and Don Artis got evicted to 3 life terms for the triple killing. Anyway, John Artis, while he was in East Jersey State Prison, formerly Broadway State Prison, there was a riot in 1972. But John Artis was instrumental in saving 5 officers. Because I said, yeah, that John Artis, although he's incarcerated, he's still a human being and still thought that those 5 officers needed to be saved. And he was instrumental in saving those 5 officers' lives. And so I said, see, your perception could be that inmate is totally a bad person, but it could be vice versa. That inmate could also be a good person because he's still human and still have human thoughts and ideas.
Well, I don't know what you just said, Glenn. I think it was a good story, though. Look, we got to have Sergeant Darnell on the staff. He can sit right next to you.
He could be the assistant engineer.
Assistant engineer, he can't even reach the buttons for that. Don't fall for that one, Sergeant Darnell.
I just thought
the pay grade for that is definitely lower than 0.
I just thought about something. He could be the engineer.
Okay, yeah, we could get him the engineer, and he is going to. I'm not a favor of people losing political races and not starting initiatives.
And I see we have Mr. Thomas McKinney trying to connect.
Okay, and I'm not a fan of people retiring and not starting initiatives. Sergeant Lee Darnell will be a part of a great law enforcement related judicial organization because he's going to recruit. He's going to recruit other retirees to be involved, and also he'll have some type of maybe public relations firm when it comes to understanding law enforcement and helping them recruit. So he will never stop working. He's always going to be available. And so he can go ahead on and share time with the wife. Yeah. I got out after 5 years because we had so much going on in maximum security. And I think they changed a lot since I've been there, but it was just too much for one man to be in charge of. But I was just ambitious.
Yeah, and I see Mr. Thomas McKinney still trying to connect.
That's okay.
I'm waiting for his picture to come up.
Yeah, that's fine. We're watching. When it comes to let's go on over to the data-driven optics of law enforcement. There's a lot of information, times, geographical information that's being collected during the day, during the week for law enforcement officers to use to create counter, moves to what's happening in any situation. I hope they're doing the same thing for white-collar crime, hate crimes, as well as street crimes, because street crime to me is low-hanging fruit, if you will. So when it comes to, and I mentioned before we went to break that a couple of cities or a city had mentioned that they showed a reduction in crime because they were able to predict the gang behavior and they were able to intercept that. So I said, what did they do? See, when the gangs go on duty at 10 o'clock on Friday night, and they all had an ice cream truck out there giving away free ice cream to young gang members to disrupt their behavior. That sounds like a pretty good idea. I need to talk to Sheriff Dance about that.
Sign me up.
Be right on the ice cream truck. We know you guys are starting to crack sales or the drug movements at about this time of the night, but we want to say that we got free ice cream, pizza. You guys like a slice? Just pull the truck up right there on the block.
Well, I know when Sheriff Dez became sheriff, and she started the initiative to have those that were in custody go out and clean up some of these neighborhoods, and I think that started a good campaign. I'm not sure if that's continuing to go on, but maybe Sergeant Darnell can answer that for me.
Yeah. Anything you want to say about campaigns or digital data-driven law enforcement that you guys were able to? Because you got these. He is not telling us about the new gadgets they're getting. They probably, man, they got facial recognition stuff. They probably got them on light poles now.
Probably.
They got lights all over their car. Now, I said last year, and I'm going to stop rambling, I promise you, ladies and gentlemen, that if I see a light on a police officer's antenna, that's just going to be it for me. Well, now, I believe I've seen lights on police officers, inconspicuous places on the vehicle. That's what I mean. Now,
Well,
if I see y'all,
you don't want me to give away all the secrets, do you?
tell us something. You got a gun in your shoe like Maxwell Smart? I know you do.
Well, we're doing everything we can to make it as safe as we can within budget constraints and legal constraints. We're not going to violate anybody's constitutional rights.
Right.
But we're putting cameras on poles so we can solve crimes as well as we can. We're asking people to call Crime Stoppers, and it's working. I'm going to take crime tips from drug dealers. You want to put your rival drug dealer out of business? Give me a call. Make some tips on them. Hey,
that way when you call,
you don't like somebody and they're wanted. Hey, give me a call.
And sorry, would you give that number? I'm sorry, would you give that toll-free number?
Talking about 252-758-7777. Absolutely, I'll give that number. Or P3 Tips. Talking about our phone app, P3 Tips. Absolutely. Or crimestopper.org. Lots of ways to do it. But and yeah, we pay a lot of tips. Absolutely, completely anonymous. But a lot of things we'll do to make a difference, to solve the crimes, to make things safer out there. And technology is one way of doing it. And but there's only so much we can talk about that.
One thing I'm not going to go for is, now if you got data, that means you got predictable points there. I would not go for it, and I don't need to go join the police committee that we have here in the city of Greenville, if it's still active, that is going to go for low-level street crime, and that you're going to prosecute 1,000 young people, whatever race or color it could be. I'm not saying black. I'm not saying Asian. I'm not saying any other type of nationality or ethnic group. But if you can see that now you've changed the law and it's going to scoop up a certain group, you can predict, now the information is out, you can predict that the war against drugs, against crack cocaine, was going to lock up millions of black people. You can see that. So if we're putting a new law out right now against, let's say, throwing cigarette butts out the window, then you might figure, or pouring a drink out the window, or talking on the phone, you can probably predict that it's going to affect a certain portion of the city in a certain way.
Yeah, but just like you just mentioned, Coach Garrison, if you might recall, I told you about the incident or situation in Monmouth County, New Jersey, approximately 5 months ago, where the county prosecutor was able to shut the power off in the whole entire county to conduct a drug raid. Got 32 people off the street. That's all facing federal racketeering charges for their involvement. But the prosecutor was able to shut the power off in the whole entire county. Operation Lights Out.
What I'm saying is, and I'm probably taking too long to say it, is that if it's going to affect a group unproportionately, you might want to find another way to work on that crime issue? Because there's an economical way, there's a geographical way, there's a lot of things the way we can fight crime.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that takes big picture thinking outside the box. And I dare say there's nobody better at it than Paula Dance. The sheriff is going to think outside the box. And if something's not working, she'll stop it and move on to the next thing. And look, now, the problem is, we don't write the laws. We don't have much of a say in that. We just get to enforce the ones that are handed to us.
Right.
But we do everything in our power as a sheriff's office to take care of the citizens, like through the programs we offer through the detention center, or for like home checks, through senior programs, things like that, to impact as many of our citizens as we can to meet whatever needs that are out there. And just keep shuffling to keep meeting the needs that are out there. And the sheriff is always moving to keep her eye on the ball. And if the ball moves, her eye moves, and we're going to keep shuffling to meet those needs.
Right.
And if a group is disproportionately impacted, then that's something that we're going to have to address.
I think I agree with you, Sarge, but I just wanted to mention, while we all are focused on police behavior and what the police are doing, I think residents should also know that there's a general statute in North Carolina that if an officer needs help, you are to assist that officer with helping that officer in a time of need. And I can't get to the exact statute, but I know there's a North Carolina general statute that a resident is to assist a police officer upon request.
Okay, gentlemen, we're going to play. I forgot the name of the show. I was going to name it other than a version of Jeopardy. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. How many police officers are there in the United States in 2020? 5 seconds, guys. How many police officers in the United States?
1 billion.
No.
187,000.
696,644.
That's all.
Yes.
What do you say? Is that all?
Yeah, do more than that.
All right. What is the ratio of police officers per 1,000 people in the United States nationwide? Do I need to give you all multiple choice? 2.4, 8.6,
multiple choice.
2.4, 8.6, or 9.7 officers per 1,000 people? Which one?
9.7.
Time's up. 2.4 officers per 1,000 inhabitants of full-time law enforcement, civilian and sworn, in the United States.
Wow, that's really low.
What state has the most cops? California, New York, Texas, or Georgia?
Got to be California.
Texas.
California, Texas, New York, or Georgia? Okay. Everybody's got their final answer.
It's got to be California, followed by New York.
78,062 is California. 62,962 is New York. 54,353 is Texas. And 47,887 is Georgia. All right. Let's see here. Who has the largest police force in the world? Is it the United States? Is it India? There's a lot of people in India. Or is it Tokyo? Or is it Russia?
Yeah, Tokyo's pretty large, but I would have to go with my country, the United States.
I gotta say United States.
Yeah.
Sergeant Darnell? Russia, Tokyo, India, United States.
I'm going to go with us, I guess.
Tokyo Metropolitan Police Department, with a staff of more than 40,000 police, officers and over 2,800 civilian personnel. Good gracious sake.
I started to say Tokyo because I know Tokyo's pretty
It's
large.
the largest police force in the world by number of officers, managers, 102 stations. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to keep it going here. Okay, who has, all right, we just did that. Okay. What percentage of cops are military?
That's got to be an awful lot.
Got to be a lot.
Is it 50%, 45%, or 25% of law enforcement officers affiliated in the military?
I would have to go with 50.
25.
Maybe 45.
25, ladies and gentlemen. He scored. He scored. All right, last question. Not necessarily. Okay. Oh, wow. The highest paid police officers by state. All right. I got 4 states here. Good gracious sake. All right. Here you got Alaska. Alaska officers make, let me turn this mic. I know y'all detect my voice changing. Alaska's officers come in at $78,839. Now, that's probably an intro salary. I mean, the max salary, that's higher. All right. Washington coming in at 73,000, Oregon 70, California 67, and probably North Carolina might be peanuts. I don't know. Peanuts, popcorn. Which one is it? Rice? No, I'm just kidding. All right. What is the largest city police in the U.S.? Everybody ought to get that one. Come on. Dean, the largest city police in the U.S.
New York City.
New York City. That is correct, gentlemen and ladies. All right. Well, the bonus question, ladies and gentlemen. I can't even see the answer. What state has the hardest police training? What state has the hardest police training for 1,000 bonus points, gentlemen? And 1 minute, 30 seconds left in the show. This is a legitimate question. What state has the toughest training academy in America? All right.
That is a good one.
I'm going to give out multiple choice. We got California. We got North Carolina. We got Texas. And we got New Jersey.
I will go to New Jersey.
Texas.
New Jersey.
New Jersey Police Training Academy. The academy is considered the toughest due to the tough daily routine that trainees have to follow. And trainees are called on a military drill at 6 a.m. in the morning, followed by breakfast. The daily training routine then continues until 10 p.m. at night. All right, ladies and gentlemen, what a great episode of Police Report, hosted by Dr. Glenn Johnson, Vernon Garrison, and our famous contributor, Sergeant Leo. Thank you, Sheriff Dance, for him. Thank you to the Pitt County Sheriff's Office. Thank you to Pitt Greenville City Department, and also to Muhammad, who is researching and very diligent at looking at and researching cyber crimes. Our job here on this team is to protect and serve and provide a medium for you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We're out of here. WBIS LP 106.9 FM 100.3.